Climate change is the change in global or regional climate patterns. In particular, climate change is the apparent increased levels of atmospheric carbon dioxide produced by the use of fossil fuels attributed from the mid to late 20th centuries and onwards. Climate change is occurring and affecting the Earth everywhere. An example of climate change happening around the world is in India, which is facing its worst drought in decades, thanks to climate change. At least 330 million people have been affected by the drought in India, as a heat wave extends across much of India with temperatures of 40 degrees Celsius for days now. India relies heavily on monsoon rains, which have been poor for the past couple of years. The government has said that almost 256 districts all across India, home to nearly a quarter of India, has been impacted by the drought. There is a train carrying 2.5 million liters of water, which was scheduled to reach there. Droughts and heat waves everywhere are projected to become more intense, and cold waves less intense everywhere. Summer temperatures are estimated to continue to rise, and reduction of soil moisture, which worsens heat waves, is projected for the summer. Another example of climate change affecting the Earth is the wildfire in Fort McMurray, Alberta. A forest fire that began southwest of the town forced the entire population, almost 90,000 people, to evacuate. More than 1,500 buildings have been demolished, and the fire had spread through an area covering more than 300 square miles. Alberta experienced an unusually dry and warm winter. The precipitation was low, almost half of the usual, and the snow melted early. Although it's tough to pin any particular disaster on climate change, in the case of Fort McMurray in India, the link is pretty compelling. Climate scientists agree that the main cause of the current global warming trend is human expansion of the greenhouse effect, which has been warming that results when the atmosphere traps heat radiating from the Earth towards space. There are certain gases in the atmosphere that block heat from escaping. Long-lived gases that remain semi-permanently in the atmosphere and do not respond physically or chemically to changes in temperature are described as forcing climate change. Gases that respond physically or chemically to changes in temperature are seen as feedbacks. Gases that contribute to the greenhouse effect include water vapor, nitrous oxide, methane, and carbon dioxide. So, why should we care? Global climate change has already taken a toll on the environment. There have been glaciers that have shrunk, ice on rivers, and lakes that are breaking up earlier. Plant and animal ranges have shifted and trees are flowering sooner. Many of the predictions that scientists said in the past resulting from global climate change are now occurring. Loss of sea ice, accelerated sea level rise, and longer, more intense heat waves. Scientists have said that global temperatures will still rise for the next couple of decades to come because of the greenhouse gases from human activities. The Intergovernmental Panel on Climate Change forecasts a temperature rise of 2.5 to 10 degrees Fahrenheit over the next century. The extreme scale of climate change can be difficult to deal with out of anticipation and discouraging. What can a person or even a nation do to slow and reverse climate change? Well, the first challenge is to eliminate the burning of coal, oil, and eventually natural gas. We all need to try to employ alternatives when possible, plant-derived plastics, biodiesel, wind power, and to invest in the change. Another solution is infrastructure upgrade. Buildings worldwide contribute around 1/3 of all greenhouse gas emissions. Investing in thicker insulation and other cost-effective temperature-regulating steps can save money in the long run. Investing in new infrastructure or radically upgrading existing highways and transmission lines would help cut greenhouse gas emissions and drive economic growth in developing countries. Energy-efficient buildings and improving cement-making processes could reduce greenhouse gas emissions in the developed world and prevent them in the developing world. Transportation is the second leading source of greenhouse gas emissions in the U.S. One way we can automatically lower transportation fuel needs is to move closer to work, use mass transit, or switch to walking, bike riding, or some other mode of transport that does not require anything but human energy. Everyone can try their best to consume less. The easiest way to cut back on greenhouse gas emissions is to buy less stuff. Whether it's not owning an automobile or using a reusable grocery bag, cutting back on consumption will result in fewer fossil fuels being burned. Climate change presents a major and growing challenge to the Arctic and the world as a whole. While the concerns this generates are important now, their implications are even greater for future generations that will bear the consequences of current actions or inaction. Strong, rapid action to reduce emissions is required in order to alter the future path of human-induced warming.